Happy to be here today to talk about how AI is helping transform lives for the better. My guest for the day is Prateek Madhav, the CEO and co-founder of AssisTech Foundation, who are focused on looking at how technology can help improve lives of persons with disabilities. A warm welcome, Prateek. And if you could just share a little bit more about yourself and the foundation.
Well, thank you, Angus, for the invitation. It's nice to see you again, and thank you for the invitation and actually choosing such a amazing topic for our discussion. Um, I've been in the industry for good 22 years. The first life in the industry was working with the IT industry. The second life has been more interesting. Just as least to say, I've been in the social sector for good 15 years. My early involvement with the community was to actually conduct a first ever T20 World Cup cricket for the blind. This was way back in 2012. Well, I was volunteering for a small nonprofit in Bangalore, and we took up the task to host 10 countries participating in the first ever T20 World Cup cricket for the blind. The way, in general, life has become more comfortable is the technology enablement at the very core. But how do we use the same phenomenal tech to help 1.1 billion people with disabilities around the world, 70, 80 million people in India, is is something which I've been thinking about, and that's the core belief that technology can create large impact. Core belief that technology doesn't discriminate is with which we set up ATF, AssisTech Foundation, way back in 2018-19.
So, Prateek, we've been talking about technology changing the landscape, technology being agnostic. But right now, we've got AI, which is very much at the forefront of technology, and a lot of talk about AI. And how do you see AI's role in helping with this assistive technology?
Some of the thought leaders is they're comparing the evolution of AI, Gen AI, to the innovation of steam engine and electricity. That kind of transformation is what people are talking about when they're thinking about AI. When I think of different use cases of AI, I'm very, very excited to see how we can apply the this kind of point of view and technology to help people with disabilities. One of the use cases which we've been thinking is the whole area of neurodiversity, neurodevelopment issues. And a lot of kids who are diagnosed with development delays and functional disabilities, they have difficulty in not only in grasping the education material and learning, but also they have development delays. They have social issues, social interaction issues as well. Now, few use cases of AI is how do you really detect autism? Now, if you see, based on my understanding, working with various hospitals, doctors, is that it is a very pen paper method today. Yeah, and in countries like ours, it's not only person dependent, and because of awareness issues, training issues, a lot is not caught at very early stage. See, first 1,000 days of kids, all of us know, are very, very important. And if you can catch certain symptoms early on, even during the pregnancy or just post pregnancy, is when, if you're able to detect autism or learning development delays early, we are able to early intervene. And hence, in some cases, we have seen those kids will live a very normal life, but it's not an ideal world. And a lot of leakages in terms of detection, and hence these kids will continue to live a life which is very dependent. And imagine it's not only the kid in societies like us. Five in the community gets engaged. So the mother or father, they have to give up their career, all the social life to be with the kid. Now, how about putting an algorithm, building a tech which will work with doctors to early detect autism? Yeah. How about using a lot of prediction based on the data? Yeah. How about training the doctors to use that piece of tech to really help them better identify those deviations in the functional disability which kids are required. So I think that's the one of the use cases which I like to share with you, and there are a few more which I'll share in due course.
So this is more of like, it would help doctors with the pattern recognition.
I personally believe it can never be AI only. It's always going to be human plus tech. So all we are saying is we develop algorithms, we build prediction, we build a lot of AI to help doctors in better detection, better prediction of some of these functional disabilities. You can never replace because they are the domain experts.
So these are like, I would say, more of systemic uses of AI, where you help in, organization wide or, hospital wide, helping it put in. What about personal uses, as in personal assistive devices, which could help persons with disability? Are you seeing AI being used there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things which I'm sure you've worked with people with visual impairment, and one of the challenges they'll always tell you is that is the independent mobility. Now, look at our city and infrastructure outside. It's tough for us to walk independently, leave alone a person who has visual impairment to walk independently. And obviously, we have seen in assistive technology devices ranging from smart white canes to buzzers and all that. Now we are seeing emergence of a newer tech, which again is has a lot of AI in it. There is a technology where a small device is being built and it can get fitted in the glasses of a person with visual impairment. Now, what that small device is doing, it number one has the camera and a audio a recorder. So it's using that device to record, uh, take video and audio as an input. It uses mobile to process that whole video and an audio input. And then it is giving audio cues or audio output through your this phone. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you would know that you can hear from this phone because of people with visual impairment do not like to block their ears because that's a sensory they've grown up with as well. So imagine a tech where in the outdoor environment, if I'm a person with visual impairment, walking and it's able to real time identify a car coming on the right, a dog sitting on the left, a cart blocking the way, things like that. And how cool it is to really be able to give that technology in a outdoor city environment. In an indoor environment, the technology is able to, if I'm sitting in front of you, it's able to identify and predict that there is a person sitting in front of you wearing a blue color floral dress around about this age, and would you like to save the profile and the audio? So, and I say yes, and I'm able to save your profile. Next time you meet me, it's able to identify you through the facial and the audio, this thing. And imagine you have gone to Goa with family vacation, you put in pictures in the social media. This technology can go around with your profile, search around, and give me an input. And the first time reading, hi Farangis, how was your Goa vacation? And here's Farangis is saying, oh, hell, you know that I was in Goa with family. And I think these are wonderful use cases of AI. And as I tried describing it to you, it's not only enabling people with visual impairment, impairment with independent mobility, but it also is able to include them in social construct in the in the community so well, because that is what otherwise you and I would do. If you have seen your picture, I'm going to ask you how your vacation was in Goa. And I think it is enabling them to, with that information, that awareness, that kind of confidence that they belong to the society as much as anybody else do.
That gives that sense of inclusion, that they are part of the conversation itself happening around you. Others, it's often left out.
Traditional environment, they'll always need somebody to say, hey, you know what? There is somebody who's trying to say, what's your name, ma'am? Oh, Farangis. Oh, Farangis is, coming and talking to you, and it's just not inclusion. One of the use cases of AI, Farangis, is to improve social skills for kids who have functional disability and they are in this autism spectrum. There is a bot that is being developed. So think of Alexa plus plus, where the robot with the AI and learning capabilities sit in the class where special educators is having a session with this kid with on the spectrum. The robot learns, understand the lessons. We put in all the content. While the session is over, school is over, the robot comes back with the kid home, and he's continuing the conversation in a more gamified way. It looks like human. It's talking to you. If you like Amitabh Bachchan's voice, hopefully you can put Amitabh Bachchan's voice to have a conversation. For example, if this person is going for an interview, then this bot or a robot can help you prepare for the interview. Hey, Prateek, tell me about yourself. Hey, why are you looking down? Look in my eyes.
No.
Yes, you did a great job in introducing yourself, but can you tell more, talk more about the skills you have? And I think that way we are, number one, reducing a lot of burden on the parents. So at home, parents can be parents, not the extended, special therapist. Second, robots will never get bored. They will never raise voice. And that's the benefit of tech, that they'll be patient always. They will self learn which word is probably disturbing this kid more and more versus what language should I use, what's the tonality of the conversation and stuff like that. And I think these kind of AI innovations are going to change the world. But the challenge is, how do you make such stuff available at a cost where everybody will be able to afford it?
How far advanced are we with these technologies? Are these things already out there? Or, are they all at a nascent stage where we are still experimenting? And what will it actually take to help make it more mainstream and accepted?
Let me try to give you an overall perspective on the ecosystem which we are building, and definitely challenges which where we are facing. Today, when we started working to enable and support entrepreneurs, and I go back 2014, 15, there was hardly anybody innovating. Yeah, there was traditional AT which held but did not. Yeah, it's a suboptimal, low tech, low usage kind of tech which I had seen. When we started building this ecosystem, we saw a lot of bright spots. Some universities were doing the innovations, but unfortunately, that innovation was not coming out. Yeah, it was very research oriented. We saw a lot of non-profits working in this area, but then they had this traditional view of charity and pity, which obviously none of us agreed to. We had a lot of corporates attempting to build tech, but given that their focus was not entirely on this piece, it took like enormous time to really even be able to produce a usable piece of tech as well. Yeah. And we said we will, as ATF, we will set up a ecosystem, we'll build an ecosystem, and that ecosystem will promote the newer thinking, promote the technology innovation happening in the country. Now, I'm very, very happy to share with you, Farangis, that today ATF has built world's fastest and largest ecosystem of innovators. We have 450 innovators and startups just in India working to build solutions for visual impairment, speech and hearing impairment, physical disability, and a lot of it is coming for the neurodiversity, neurodevelopment areas as well. How amazing it is to really talk to people who are building cross disability solutions. How amazing it is to see that these innovations we are able to promote in not just tier one country, cities, but tier two, tier three towns as well. How amazing it is that the same contemporary tech of AI, ML, AR, VR is being used not only to help the commercial businesses, but also getting applied to a lot of use cases, like I shared before. I think today we are on a path with everything which we do, Farangis. We are already helping almost a million people with disabilities with the ecosystem ATF has built. And I think while that number gives us smile, number gives us confidence that some of these business models which we are putting together are beginning to work well, we are not resting. Our aim is to really take a lot of these innovations to the market, give the market access. These technologies have to go to people with disabilities whom they are meant to be for. And hence, today we are looking at building very scalable models by really not just focusing on technology innovation. See, journey of a innovator from innovation to entrepreneurship is very, very long. We all know it. In assisted technology, it's much harder and a longer journey, and hence we need. I think in our world we talk about you have to invest a patient capital, in all these startups. But I'm happy to inform and happy to share that a lot of these companies, 450 companies who were a small piece of tech today are profitable, scalable enterprises. India is actually leading in terms of solving the problems of people with disabilities through tech. And we are leading the way, not just in the number of startups who are now creating very scalable impact, but the use of tech like AI as well.
That's fabulous. It's a collaborative thing. So wherever you get the brightest minds, you want them to help the solution, help it move forward. So what kind of collaborations do you all have with what universities or, you know, people working on, as you mentioned earlier, research, but that research coming into being an active, implementable solution?
The task at hand is very, very large, and we can't do it alone. We need a lot of collaborations. And the way we think about ecosystem, Rengis, is few dimensions. Number one, collaboration with governments, because a lot at a policy level has to change to support this innovation. A lot at a policy level has to change uh, to make these solutions available to people with disabilities. Who knows these people with disabilities best? Government. And we have to work with the central government, state governments to make this solution in terms of market access. So ATF, I mean, I'm a part of the committee at Niti Aayog, where we are writing the national strategic framework for assistive technology, which will become a policy framework in few years. We work with several governments where we advise them about their policy of promoting these innovators in assistive technology. We also have helped them write their policy around the market access. Um, Several states have done really, really well. Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka is doing brilliant stuff as well. And several North states in North India also are picking up well. More needs to be done, definitely. So one is government, second corporate organizations. See, at the end of the day, we are not just talking about technology promotion. We are also talking about absorbing or recruiting or engaging a lot of these people with disabilities in jobs. because without proper employment, I don't think any of these people will be able to self-sustain themselves and live a life with a lot of independence and dignity. And hence, we have an advisory, the diversity and inclusion advisory, where we are working with several corporate organizations to help them think through about engaging people with disabilities, think through the whole hire to retire kind of a life cycle when they come in, because while recruitment is important, that's not the first step, that's not the last step as well. Yeah. So we work in several corporate organizations. Third, we work with the community. There are a lot of people with disabilities in our network. They can help startups test the product. They can help some of these solutions take into the market as well, because they are so glued and networked in their community well. And the thought there, Ferengius, is that we are not building for people with disabilities. We are building solutions with people with disabilities, because nothing about them without them. And that really is the thought when we work very, very closely. We work with several nonprofit organizations because they are the trusted partners locally. I mean, 70% of people with disabilities in India live in rural areas. How reach out to them? So and hence, and there are a few more partners. I mean, like you said, universities. I think we're very excited that a number of universities are now taking interest in building assistive technology. I think we are, as a country, we need more investment in that research, especially the invisible disabilities, as we call it, and the autism and neurodiversity, that kind of area. We need more tech interventions. We need more research that needs to be done. We also are working with a lot of technology institutes, because our observation is that while they're good at doing the research and building the tech, their knowledge of how to take that tech to the market is something which we would love to help. We have seen phenomenal tech sitting in the universities for so many years, but that tech is something which has world has not seen. We work with several top universities. We have a MOU with IIT Madras Research Park. VIT Vellore is doing amazing job as well. We also work very closely with some of the foreign universities. So University College of London, is doing amazing research, amazing work in developing assistive technology, and there's a lot of AI use cases they've been working as well.
When we mentioned rural, and a lot of the cost of living itself for a person with disability is often higher because of all the things that is in addition to that. So how affordable is all this? Because, when we say tech, and with this, it's a high tech. So is it also high cost, or are we able to make it available?
Yes and no. Yes, because a lot of time high tech also means that the kind of investment that goes into build that tech are higher. So storage space, server space, just cost of building algorithms, the kind of resources you would need, human or otherwise, to build that tech itself makes the cost higher. No, because see, whenever we think about tech going to people who can't afford, we cannot only depend on technology innovation. We cannot only depend on, I think, like we say, the economies of scale. Or if you produce higher number of wheelchairs, you'll bring the cost down. One of our portfolio startup who came from IIT Madras is NeoMotion, and they built a amazing, smart Indian road condition, well-designed, customized wheelchair and a scooter that goes in front of it, which is battery operated. And I think it's just changing lives, because we had them sign a partnership with Zomato, and thousands of people who have issues or on wheelchair are now earning money. So it's a great enablement. But a pair of NeoMotion wheelchair and the scooter still cost 1 lakh. Now, obviously, you can produce 10,000 lakhs of it and cost will come down, but it will still come down to a price which a lot of people in India can't afford it. So while definitely we as a country and innovators of a country do understand that they have to build something which is cost effective and stuff, and obviously at a scale where the cost can be optimized and stuff like that, we need to and think beyond of the business models which we will have to build in disabilities. Uh, and let me give you an extended example of NeoMotion and Zomato. There are three scenarios for Engage. If a technology is built, assuming it is useful to people with disabilities, there are three scenarios that exist. Um, and through these three scenarios, I'm trying to share with you the three different business models. And in startup world, they say, how are we going to monetize the whole innovation? Scenario one is if I need new motion, you know, technology, I can afford it. So hence, if I can get access to that technology, I can try it out. If it works for me, I go and buy. That's easiest. But we are talking about less than 1% of people with disabilities who can do it. And hence, scenario two, I can buy it, but not now. If I'm a person with disabilities, I can only pay you 1,000 rupees, for example, but I need that lecture. That's where we have to talk about a lot of financial models with different financial organizations to do funding and loans. Then um, imagine that with the down payment of few thousands, I get that wheelchair and the scooter. Now, what happens here is I get employed with Zomato and I start earning 18,000, 20,000, 25,000, and I pay the EMI. Now, in this scenario, too, startup, which is a for-profit startup, gets their money. I get the tech. I start livelihood. So I was not even visible in the society, but now I get to, get to deliver food and on my livelihood, and hence not just financial independence, but a lot more other things will comes in, and I repay the loan in due course, right? That's a business model. Uh, Scenario three is where I need this innovation. It fits in well into my needs, but I can never afford it. And that's where I think we are talking to various corporate organizations and philanthropists to bring that whole capital in this sector, because there's always going to be a set of people who can never afford it and who need it. And that's where we need to think of investment, a lot of CSR money into it, a lot of philanthropy money into this. Because at the end of the day, when we are thinking about impact, we're talking about three L's: learning, livelihood, and living. We have to, whatever scenarios, whatever business model we apply, we have to make sure that the innovations are enabling the learning, which is the education of kids with disabilities. We're talking about livelihoods, example which I just gave, and also independent living, the whole tech for visual impairment people, for independent mobility. We're talking about independent travel. We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about marriages. We're talking about content accessibility, all that. We also need to think beyond and rethink the whole business model, because just for the reason that we have 80 to 90 million people with disabilities, and a lot of them may or may not be able to afford this innovation.
It's really encouraging to know so much is being done in this space. But as you said,
Absolutely.
there's so much more that needs to be done. Personally, what was your most satisfying part of this journey? Any anecdote you'd like to share?
Well, I have, probably few in a week when I talk to a lot of my friends who are people with disability, who are our champions. On one side, we are talking to innovators and startup, and I can tell you, I'm so encouraged to hear their ideas. There's no week that goes in when I talk to so many entrepreneurs. I also see a good set of new young, passionate folks coming in. I love their whole their whole excitement because they want to change the world. I mean, and believe me, Faranges, they're very inspiring, very young people. Because why are they? I mean, sometimes I ask, why are you in it? And when you hear the stories of their friend becoming blind or their cousin being speech impairment, I see this whole aspiration to not just solve the problem of their near and dears, but also say, hey, there are millions of others, and how can I use my education skills and thinking to change the world? I also get very excited when people with the disabilities get this tech. I one of the startup is in the has a tech. They have around 2,500 plus sign language enabled videos for speech and hearing impaired kids. We launched that program in Pune, took this tech to a school where I had gone for the launch of the program, where they had 550 kids with speech and hearing impairment. And you could almost see the small kids sitting in front of you, looking at this tablet and books, which they want to access. And what a joy in their eyes when they see a video which is sign language enabled. So a lot of those videos is not just about the traditional education, but it is also about financial literacy and stuff like that. And what a joy to really see these hundreds of kids getting that tech in their hands, and hopefully, they will grow up using this tech, better informed, better educated, and I'm sure with all that they'll be able to get into the employment and live a very independent life.
And thanks so much for sharing this, Prateek. You can see the joy in your eyes itself as you were talking about it. As we
Okay.
wind up, is there anything you want to share with the viewers? Any last thoughts?
I think today we are very, very excited while we create this ecosystem in India. I also want to mention that while we set up ATF in India, we also set up a global alliance called PlusN, Inclusive Innovation Network, with 6 other countries. So while I'm talking about 450 innovations in India, there are 1,200 startups and innovators across the world whom we have access to. There is lots going on, in the field of assistive technology, and like you had initiated the conversation, there's a lot of AI play that's happening in AT as well. While we grow this ecosystem, we need investments. Investment in disability itself has been very, very low. Investment in assistive technology innovation is also very, very low. And hence, when we are looking at people, corporate organizations, government investing, all we are saying is we need patient capital. Yeah. We do not need charity money. We do not need to see this world of disability as pity at all. And when we are saying patient capital, there are enough and more studies. And one of the studies says the return on investment in assistive technology is 1:9. So if you invest a rupee, you will get 9 back. But obviously, the cycle time is much longer than other investments. But this is about profit with purpose, the impact it could create in the lives of people with disabilities. India has produced 118 unicorns. Dollar unicorns, obviously, we're talking about any organization or startup which is $1 billion or more valuation. ATF wants to be a unicorn as well, but not the money unicorn, but an impact unicorn, because the number of people with disabilities in the world is a billion. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a kid. That's the kind of investment, that's the kind of help we need. But again, thank you very much for inviting me for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Prateek. Thank you for sharing.